We were all Africans. Humans migrate out of Africa from about 215,000 to 60,000 BCE. In context, locations: Asia, Africa, Europe. Up to 1.8 million years ago, Homo erectus, upright man known as Homo georgicus, appears in Manisi, Georgia, and arrives in Java, Indonesia 1.6 million years ago. About 780,000 years ago, evidence from Gesher B'nai Yaakov, Israel, suggests that Homo erectus can control fire. Circa 430,000 years ago, DNA from fossils in Spain suggests hominins who spread from Africa evolved into Neanderthals. Afterwards, in the 1930s, remains of Homo sapiens are found in the Kafse and School caves in Israel, and are later dated to up to 80,000 to 120,000 years ago. In 1949, American chemist Willard Libby develops radiocarbon dating. From the 1960s, uranium-thorium dating is also used to date fossils. In 2019, the British scientific journal Nature reported that a partial skull discovered in the Apodema cave in southern Greece in the 1970s was Homo sapiens and more than 210,000 years old. This made it the earliest evidence of human migration out of Africa, at least 15,000 years older than a jaw and teeth found in Misliya Cave in Mount Carmel in Israel in 2002, and 164,000 years older than any other Homo sapiens remains found in Europe. More than one migration. Anthropological and genetic data indicate that all humans originated in Africa. Scientists once thought that one major migration occurred between 70,000 and 50,000 years ago. The Greek and Israeli fossils suggest that early humans left Africa in a number of migrations starting at least 140,000 years earlier. To date, however, these few finds are the only evidence of such early migrations, which implies that Homo sapiens failed to settle outside of Africa at this time. It seems likely that far more humans left Africa from around 125,000 years ago. This may have been partly driven by droughts in Africa around 135,000 years ago, which forced people out of the increasingly arid central regions towards coastal areas and northeast into Eurasia. About 75,000 years ago, a huge volcano eruption at Lake Toba in Indonesia may have caused a reduction in global temperatures. Some argue that this forced humans to establish much wider social networks for sharing resources, accelerating their dispersal around the world. Routes out across the world. The pattern of dispersal is still hotly debated, with the exception of the 210,000-year-old skull from Greece. The oldest Homo sapiens fossils, dating from 80,000 years ago to 180,000 years ago, have been found in Israel. Some intrepid early humans, however, ventured much further east. Teeth from a cave in southern China, identified as Homo sapiens in 2015, have been dated to 100,000 years ago. Stone tools from the Arabian Peninsula have been dated to 125,000 years ago, and others from India to more than 74,000 years ago, suggesting that some humans took a route across Bab el-Mandeb Strait in the from the Horn of Africa into Arabia, then across the Strait of Hormuz into Eurasia, and eastern there, possibly spreading rapidly around the coastline of Southeast Asia. The main expansion of humans out of Africa was probably around 70,000 years ago, and Homo sapiens reached Australia as early as 60,000 years ago. The fossils from Europe are more recent. They include 46,000-year-old teeth and bone fragments from Bachokira, Bulgaria, and a jawbone possibly 43,000 to 34,000 years old in Kent's Cavern in Devon, United Kingdom. As humans spread in Eurasia, they encountered closely related species including Neanderthals and Denisovans. Genetic studies of humans today show that these species interbred. By 40,000 years ago, Homo sapiens had spread widely from Africa and other Homo species had disappeared. Homo sapiens reached the Americas at least 15,000 years ago and possibly even earlier. In 2020, stone tools found in Chiquihuite Cave in Mexico or dated to 26,000 years ago, and some sites, such as Pedra Furada in Brazil, may be mentioned, although the early dates are highly controversial. Early settlers are thought to have reached the Americas from Northeast Asia via an enormous landmass known as Beringia. This region connected Siberia and Alaska when ice ages locked up water as ice in vast ice sheets, lowering sea levels. Evolving humans. Homo sapiens originally evolved with dark skin. As humans moved farther away from the equator to where sunlight was weaker, evolutionary pressure for dark skin to protect them from intense UV rays reduced. Skin color became quite variable as humans dispersed around the world. The very late form of pigmentation known today developed in the low light of Scandinavia around 5700 BCE, but only spread widely across Europe with the arrival of early farmers from the Near East after 6000 BCE. In varying environments, body shapes and facial features also became more diverse. Genetically, however, all Homo sapiens populations across the world remain very closely related.